Minnesota Vikings faithful, you are listening to the Purple People podcast. We have all kinds of Vikings football to talk about. We have game reviews. We have so much stuff. And we are so glad that you are here with us. I am Kyle West. I got Adam Carlson.
You sure do.
I got Kyle Smith.
What's up, everybody?
We are ready to talk some Vikings football.
That's true. It's been an absolutely crazy weekend for me. So I apologize for not having all my ducks in a row. With Fear the Walking Dead coming up and the Viking season starting and my writing in all the places, I've been a little all over the place, but right now it's time for me to sit down and focus on Vikings football.
Mr. Smith is all over the place, too. He's in Texas.
Broadcasting live. You won't hear this live, but I am in San Antonio.
Representing the Vikings.
I'm assuming yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about the connection being slow. We have a story we can't tell on the show because we're going to keep it PG. But I've already repped the Vikings since I've been here.
On that note, I'd like to welcome everyone to episode number 165 of the Purple People podcast. This one is titled Almost Jameis.
Almost. He sucked.
And you guys know the reference I'm going for on that one, right?
Almost Famous?
Yeah.
My favorite movie of all time. When I saw that, I smiled really big, man. That was a great one.
There we go.
Oh, fuck. I just
Let's get you quick hits out of the way because we got lots to talk about going forward. Quick hit number 1. I live in Michigan, so I don't see a lot of these Hy-Vee supermarket chains. Are they a big thing where you guys are at?
Oh, yeah. I got one right in the town that I live in. Hy-Vee is a big store in Iowa.
Maybe you're saying it differently than I read it. Is it the HIB? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no. No.
About to say there's one right outside the gate here. Oh, yeah. Never mind then. Disregard.
That was actually the supermarket chain that Kurt Warner worked for. I don't know if you guys know.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that story?
Random knowledge for the day.
I knew the story, but I didn't know it was that.
Yeah, that was Hy-Vee. That was Kurt Warner. I don't want to get too far off the Vikings here, but he was a really big deal when he played for the Barnstormers, and to see him go on and have the success that he did, that was just an awesome, fantastic thing, because we don't have sports teams, and we don't really have famous people from Iowa too much. So, yeah, Kurt Warner around my parts is huge.
Around your parts. All right, let's move on. Anyway, the Vikings have partnered with Hy-Vee. That will make them a founding partner of the U.S. Bank Stadium. Now, what that means is the next 10 years, there will be Hy-Vee posting everywhere all over the new stadium, advertisements for it. And in addition to that, Hy-Vee will have some items available at the concessions as well as some specialty foods available at Vikings games.
Well, you know what? They already do in Mankato. It's Hy-Vee catering when you go in.
So why not keep that rolling,
exactly.
Right?
$7 for a hot dog there in Mankato, so bring
and
that.
Plus, let's be honest, Hy-Vee, it's an employee-owned chain. It's very customer-friendly, a good reputation. It's a good partner for the Vikings all around, too.
Yeah, it really is a great chain. Anyway, we should probably move on from the Hy-Vee podcast.
You mentioned Mankato, and the Vikings signed an agreement with the University of Minnesota to keep training camp in Mankato for the next 3 years. This will span through the 150th anniversary of the University of Minnesota, Mankato. It will span through 50 years of the Vikings practicing there, I believe.
Yes, sir, you are correct. Fantastic facilities. They always roll out the red carpet. The whole town does for the Vikings when they come in. It's a great tradition and something that I hope they continue on for more than 3 years. I want to see this continue for another 50 years in Mankato.
Good stuff. We did have a couple transactions happen. The Vikings released wide receiver Gavin Lutman, which I don't know if this happened on the show or in our private talks, but I think Mr. Kyle West was joking about who's Gavin Lutman. He's not going to be on the team.
Who? Well, no, he's not.
And he is no longer with the team. So if it was on the show or not, I don't know. But
I think that was. Good
call, Mr. West. In his place, they've signed defensive tackle Greg Hickman.
They released who for what?
It's the preseason. You'll see lots of cool transactions that won't amount to much in the long run. But who knows? Maybe he's a gem. You never know.
You hope so. You'd like to hope that all the unknown guys are.
So fans of the Minnesota Vikings love to go watch practices.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Zimmer likes to watch practices as well, as long as his team is doing their job. Now, there was a practice that the Vikings were taking part in, and he wasn't seeing 100% effort, and Zimmer just ripped into them and had them running and running and running. And the fans that were there to see it were just delighted.
He made them run laps. That was how ticked off he was. Chad Greenway said he hadn't run laps like that in 10 years or so, but then also went on to say that, hey, you respect that from your coach because his expectations are so high, he's not going to settle for people half-assing it out there on the field.
Absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you guys bet on gambling, gambling on some sporting events. But if you decide to put a wager down on who the NFL MVP is going to be, tied for third best odds with Mr. J.J. Watt is Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson.
That is so interesting to me. I figure Aaron Rodgers is going to be the top, but if AP and J.J. Watt is tied at 3, who made it to number 2?
You guys each shoot a guess out, and I'll tell you after.
Tom Brady.
No.
Christian Ponder.
Close. Andrew Locke.
Okay, that's pretty solid.
Still tied for third place for MVP odds as a running back. He was the top running back, of course, on the list. And at a position that people say is not as valuable as it used to be, it's awesome to see a running back that far up on the odds. So that's cool to me.
Hey, and he's coming off essentially an entirely lost season that he didn't even play. So that tells you the kind of player people still think Adrian Peterson is, for him to get these kind of accolades coming off from a lost season.
But speaking of Peterson, we saw him leave practice on Tuesday with a little bit of a leg injury. Now, we've figured out, after over a little bit of time, that it was just a minor leg bruise.
He's bruised.
Nothing serious. He will be available for the regular season. No point in sweating it. We weren't going to see him during the preseason anyway, so it's all right.
In other news, the Wilps have bought a cryogenic tube to freeze Adrian Peterson in, so he will be cryogenically frozen from now until the start of the regular season, so that nothing else happens to him.
That's not a terrible idea.
No, it's not.
But speaking of terrible, there was some bad news.
This is the worst news of the week.
Phil Loadholt gone for the entire 2015 NFL season with a torn Achilles tendon. Ouch.
Yeah, the game will go down as a win in the record books if they keep record books for preseason, but it's a loss for the Vikings because Phil Loadholt is a huge part of that offensive line. He had just got back from rehab, and he missed some time last year. You feel for the guy that he spends all that time, all that work, and then he gets hurt. And the meaningless second game of the preseason, that absolutely sucks for Phil Loadholt.
Now, you're saying meaningless, but if you ever want to read an awesome article that I personally wrote over on the Viking Age about friendship developing between Minnesota Vikings fans, read that article, and I don't think you'll ever think of a preseason game as meaningless ever again.
It's a nice plug. Nice plug.
Yeah, great plug.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like the plug.
But like I was saying, Phil Loadholt, this is a huge loss for the Vikings. They're going to be looking to fill this any way they can, but they do have some great options. They can move Mike Harris back out to the right tackle position. They have TJ Clemmings, the 4th-round draft pick, rookie. Now, this guy showed some potential during the game when he entered against the Buccaneers. So we could see that happening. There are some options. And while none of them are the road grader that Phil Loadholt is at this point, all we can do is hope that Phil can get healthy and be back for next season.
I think TJ Clemmings steps up and fills in the void as best that he can. And until he proves that he can't, I do not think they are going to go outside of what they currently have on the roster to
No, I
pull a
think it's going to end
spot.
up being Clemmings or Harris. I think those are the only two real options at this point.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll move Harris around.
Personally, I like the idea of Clemmings and Harris next to each other.
Mhm.
And I thought the Vikings were being kind of sneaky by moving Harris into guard and having a backup tackle on the offensive line, but that kind of isn't going to work out the way they really
Yeah.
planned now.
I wanted to give
But
a
let's go.
shout out real quick
go ahead.
about Phil. I want to give a shout out to my friend Mike, one of my longtime buddies. He's a great football fan as well. Can't convert him to be a Vikings fan, but he sends me a message almost to a T at the moment after we found out. It's like that crappy feeling you get when you take AP second overall in your league and you watch Phil rupture the Achilles. It's going to be hard to replace the second best right tackle in all of football.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fantastic compliment. I agree. It was my gut wrench when I saw him limping, but I think you guys are right. If you listen to Mike Zimmer's press conference after the game, it looks like this is TJ Clemmings' job to lose now. So I think
Phil
it'll be a good
struggles in pass protection, but man, he is an absolute road grader in the run game.
Yeah, and if we can pause for just a moment on that topic really quick, I think fans are more critical of Phil Loadholt than what they should be. He is a really darn good right tackle.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times, I've said this on the show, he gets penalized on stuff that's not necessarily him. Because he's so big, I think by default that flags get thrown and he stands out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard to miss him.
Yeah, it really is.
So let's move right into our game review. Minnesota Vikings took on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Most of us watched the game. For those of you that didn't, the Vikings ended up winning 26-16. It was a fun game to watch aside from the Phil Loadholt injury.
In the
with
fourth
the Vikings,
quarter.
With the Vikings coming out to a big lead right away, especially at halftime. And then things got sloppy. But let's talk about the game. Let's go into our game ball and donkeys. I love this so much. Let's go right into it.
Ooh, let's do it. Who wants to start? Adam, I think you should start.
I've got my list of 3, so.
Oh, okay.
If you guys want to name yours, I'll always have a replacement.
Well, I'll kick it off then. We'll do game balls first, then we'll wrap back around and do the donkey. For my game ball, man,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Everson Griffin. Dude is an absolute monster. That spin move that he put on that sack where he got to Jameis Winston, holy shit, pardon my language, but Everson Griffin, Jesus, this dude, what's the sack record? 20.
He made that left tackle look like a kid.
Yes.
And there was no surprise that right after this game,
Mm-hmm.
the Buccaneers went out and got former offensive tackle from the Detroit Lions, Derek Charles.
Yes. Now, and here's what I'm talking about. Remember in camp when I said there's always a flip side to whatever position battle you're looking at when people were saying Matt Khalil is struggling. Look at what Matt Khalil was lined up against in Everson Griffin. So, and I think Matt Khalil has looked really good so far in preseason as well, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So was it really that Matt Khalil was struggling mightily in training camp, or is it just that Everson Griffin is going to be gunning for the sack record and is going to have one heck of a season for the Minnesota Vikings? I think Everson...
Quick correction for me, if you give me a second here. His name is Gosder Charles. I had the first name wrong. Many apologies.
Oh, well, there you go. I think Everson is going to have just a monster year for the Minnesota Vikings.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you guys don't follow me on Facebook, it's fine. I just wanted to say welcome to the NFL, crab legs. Oh, man. I love your pick for Everson. I guess since I'm rambling, I'm going to go ahead and give mine out just in case Adam has him in there. I think he actually might, but I'm going to go ahead with Kyle West's favorite Viking so far with Sean Hill.
There you
8 of
go.
9, 104 yards, 2 TDs, no picks, 154.4 QBR.
Old Man Hill.
Yes.
Getting
Way
it
to
done.
come in
Performed absolutely just well. It was
Do
amazing.
your job. That's my favorite Bill Belichick quote of all time, and he uses it everywhere. And guess what Sean Hill did? He came in and did exactly what he was supposed to do. Knock on wood, like I said, we don't want anything to happen to number 5. But, hey, for one preseason game, for one outing, Sean Hill looked great. So you're going to steal this game ball award, and I'm going to be so happy about it, and there's nothing anybody else can do about it. Adam,
There you
take it
go.
away.
My game ball goes to Eric Kendricks.
Good choice.
This kid, the more I watch him, the more I love. He's so athletic, so quick. He can get in passing lanes. He can blitz the quarterback. He can play in coverage, and he's trying to be so patient. In college, he was so. One of the things I kind of graded him down for is that he was too instinctive. He moved too quickly. He didn't wait and let things develop and react. He's doing that now in the NFL, and you can see that. You can see the results during this game. He tied for the lead in tackles in the team with 6. He had the most tackles for loss on the Vikings with 2. He had that sack where he just blew up the middle. I swear I barely saw him run. Like it was like a streak of light.
He shot out of a cannon.
He did. He absolutely did. He even defended a pass. This guy, the more I see him, the more I love. And like we talked about last week, with his young age, how much time he has to grow and develop, man, the Vikings might have gotten a complete steal there.
Mm-hmm. Don't you forget. You first, Mr. Smith.
Oh, I love it. I love the love that Kendricks is getting. I love the fact that he's getting good, ample playing time and learning. I wanted to shift away from him for a second. I'm surprised none of us picked Stephon Diggs for the game ball. He was going to be my second option, but I thought one of you guys were going to steal him. He had a heck of a game, too. Shout out to Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
He did have a good game. He did. All right. You guys started off with a donkey, and I'll have mine ready.
Okay, well, I'm going to give mine to, even though he scored a touchdown, I don't care. It was a gimme touchdown. You could have plugged and played any Matt Asiata, Jerick McKinnon. You could have gave the ball to Babatunde Ayagbusi, and he could have scored from the field position the Vikings had. Zach Line looked horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible. And this is a position. You talk about the devalue of the running back position. The fullback position is gone, unless you are a Pro Bowler like Jerome Felton and incredibly good at it. I mean, you don't need a fullback like Zach Line. You can make up for his skill set, and I'm making air quotations here, with guys with a couple tight ends or whatever. You don't need Zach Line. He did absolutely nothing that made me say, we need to keep him. Nope, my donkey, Zach Line.
No, for a blocking specialist, he was a liability in the blocking game, in the passing game.
Yes.
He was.
You remember when Adrian Peterson hated running behind that fullback that we had?
Nafutahi?
Yes, thank you. Adrian hated that. Absolutely hated it. It wasn't until they got him Jerome Felton that he was comfortable with that.
True.
If you stick Adrian behind Zach Line, shit, Adrian's going to run Zach Line over. And it's not going to take long before Adrian goes to the coaching staff and Zach Line is going to be moved out of his way. And you won't see anything from him anymore. So, whatever. I don't. Good kid. Seems like a great kid. I don't want him on the roster.
Mr. Smith?
Well, let's segue into both of mine. It's not a tie. It's a position group. And surprise, surprise, running backs. You got our donkey of this game. Stop fumbling the damn football. Stop it. That's all I got to say. And I wanted to give Zach Line some love. I actually defended him during the game, and then afterwards I was like, well, let's come back down to reality. And you know what? Same thing for Patterson. I love him to death for catching a touchdown this weekend. But the kid frustrates the hell out of me. But let's go back to the running backs. Stop fumbling the damn football. I'm looking right here. I remember Zach Line fumbling. I forgot who it was. Joe Banyard gets 3 yards. We lost 2 there. Nothing irritates me more about a running back. You can go 3 run plays in a row and lose yardage every time. But if you hold on, we still have a chance. I hate turnovers.
Don't forget Zach Line was one of those fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. In the front. I'm sorry about that. But, nothing more that I hate personally than turnovers. So, end rant. There you go.
Dominic Williams was the other player who had a fumble for the Vikings. Running back.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so since I had 3 donkeys and you guys picked all of them,
Well, we do what we can, Adam.
I'll go off the
Just here to
board. And do you
ruin
know
your
what?
day.
My donkey award will go to Mike Wallace.
Okay.
Now, Mike Wallace, when you came in, you were supposed to be this deep threat, this guy that was going to help Teddy Bridgewater out to throw the long passes. This game, you had 1 catch for 2 yards. Both games so far in the preseason, we've seen you targeted by Teddy Bridgewater. Both passes were a little bit off the mark, but still catchable balls, and both of them dropped. Now, Mike Wallace, I know I was critical when you came to Minnesota. I admit that. But I'm really starting to wonder if you fit into Teddy Bridgewater's game. I know that taking the top off the defense is fantastic for Adrian Peterson. But unless him and Teddy Bridgewater can get on some sort of better connection, I'm not impressed.
It's fair enough. That was a good description because I watched I got to watch all of the first team, and the first couple of drives Teddy got to play in. The ball that came Mike Wallace's way was catchable.
It was low, but it was catchable.
It's not like last week. I think the one in Pittsburgh, it was very, very low. I kind of blame Teddy for that one. But you're right. I want to see a little bit more explosiveness. I don't care if it's preseason or not. Just to put a little intimidation into other people. Because like you said, we expect one thing from Mike Wallace when we get here. Well, it's a combination of 2. I expect you to catch balls, but I expect you to.
We do understand that
people.
it's the preseason. We get that. And they're not going to keep running him on outs every play. But still, give the fans a little bit of something.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating, that's all. I'm sure that they'll unleash him better during the regular season, but it's just hard to watch right now.
You gave me the perfect opportunity, Adam, to quote my favorite Brad Childress quote. If it doesn't work out with Mike Wallace, hey guys, it's all right. We have Hank Baskett.
There we go.
Do you remember that press conference?
No.
That was the one after he cut Randy Moss, and the whole media was, you cut Moss. What are you going to do? Who's going to step up and take his place on the roster? And without missing a beat, he goes, it's okay, we have Hank Baskett.
Hank. Hammer and Hank Baskett.
Yeah, Hank Baskett. Show of hands, how many people remember that Hank Baskett was even a Viking?
Oh, I definitely do. So I remember that was when he was on that reality show with that girl that was in Playboy. Kendra Wilkins or something.
That's right.
Yeah, that was a weird time for the Vikings. But anyway, let's talk about quarterbacks because the game balls could have gone to any of these guys, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Teddy Bridgewater only have that 1 incompletion that we mentioned to Mike Wallace. Sean Hill only had 1 incompletion as well. And, of course, he tossed 2 touchdowns. Taylor Heineke had a really, I thought, impressive game.
Mm-hmm.
12 for 16, 103 yards passing. All 3 of these guys put on a really decent show. And these are the 3 guys that I would actually feel the most comfortable with the Vikings heading into the season. But I could see them stashing away Heineke on the practice squad so they don't got to keep him on the 53. That would be my goal. Still, I know you've heard me rant about that enough. This quarterback play is reassuring after having so many years of just either one good player and a bunch of donkeys or just a bunch of donkeys.
Mm-hmm. Teddy continues to impress every time I see him. That throw that he made, the cross-body throw, the one that I'm talking about.
Yeah, on the rollout.
Oh boy, what were people saying? He doesn't have arm strength? There was some zip on that ball. And that's a tough throw to make. And it looked like it had plenty of mustard behind it and was right on target. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Teddy. We're seeing actual progress. We spent 4 years at Christian Ponder where we see no progress, and Teddy is looking really good. I love the rapport that he's building with his receivers like Jarius Wright and Kyle Rudolph as well too. He looks
Nice to
very,
have. I
very
was just
comfortable.
going to say that.
Hmm.
Nice to have a healthy Kyle Rudolph because he seems to be, like I said, his security blanket. He seems to always be there. But are you sure you don't want to go with Skip Bayless with what he said about Teddy Bridgewater,
Yeah.
Kyle?
No, that is just
Would
absolutely.
you like to make all the fans angry because we all support Teddy here? You sent this earlier? What did Skip Bayless say about Teddy
I
again?
was searching because when I get bored, you go on YouTube and just type in Minnesota Vikings and see what comes up. And someone had a segment from ESPN First Take, and I would have been from after the Steelers game, where they were talking, and of course they spend the whole segment talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then they very briefly, within 30 seconds, touch on the Minnesota Vikings, and they were Skip Brainless was talking about Teddy Bridgewater, and he claimed they were talking about him having an awkward throwing motion and too slow of a release time. And then he went on to claim that he views Teddy Bridgewater as only being slightly more talented than one Geno Smith, which is just mind boggling on how idiotic of a statement that is.
Uh,
Especially, what right do they have to be talking about Teddy Bridgewater's throwing motion when Skip Bayless beats Tim Tebow into the ground on how he should be a starting Hall of Fame caliber quarterback for some team? Yet you're going to make fun of Teddy Bridgewater's throwing motion. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. It's
the one
There it
ridiculous.
thing I
is,
love
ladies
about
and
Teddy
gentlemen.
is when I was watching him in college, I loved his patience.
Hmm.
I loved his pocket awareness. I loved his ability to just sit there and take a hit when he needed to in order to complete a pass. And I'm seeing these skills transfer over nicely into the NFL. He's actually seems like he's playing the college game at the NFL level,
Hmm.
which is something that not very many players can accomplish. A lot of players have to change their whole method completely, especially cornerbacks, and we're seeing that with the struggles from Trey Waynes and some of the other young guys. But this development, it's something special. It really is, and I firmly believe that, and I believe that seeing him come out of college,
Adam, you scouted Teddy more than I did.
love it.
You were the Teddy fan.
I was.
I don't remember hearing there ever being a knock about Teddy Bridgewater's throwing motion.
That's a pretty unique one to me, but
Yeah, I mean, there are
The
some
only thing
guys.
about him throwing that I ever heard was they had questions about the deep ball,
Yeah,
which you can see some of the plays that he made in college. He can throw the deep ball, but you can have skinny knees. They said he was too small a frame, whatever. But the throwing motion was the funniest thing. I think
if
Skip
Matt
Bayless just
Stafford
gets
can throw
bored.
every football sidearm, I
hey,
think
Yes,
Teddy Bridgewater is going to be all right.
bad
I think he
example,
just
but
gets bored and just makes stuff up on the way just to get headlines. That's what I think he does.
I think you're right too. You remember Byron Leftwich?
Yes.
Remember he had that horrible elongated throwing motion?
Yeah, the big windup.
Yeah, the big wind up for that one, and Teddy Bridgewater is much more talented than Byron Leftwich
He
was.
doesn't have that kind of wind.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, correct me here if I'm wrong, but didn't they go to the playoffs
Yeah.
once or twice with Byron Leftwich?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they make too big of a deal out of throwing motions these days. This, I don't know, whatever. Teddy's great. We love Teddy.
We do.
Yeah.
Running backs, no Adrian Peterson. We mentioned that already. Too many fumbles all over the place. Again mentioned.
Hmm.
Zach Line rushing touchdown. We talked about it.
Don't care.
Uh, what was nice was Dominique Williams and DeJuan Harris both averaging over 5 yards a carry. Williams was 7.3 and Harris was 6.8. However, Matt Asiata was kind of in the middle with 3.3, and then we're into territory, which isn't good when you see Jerick McKinnon with 5 carries
For what, 2
3
yards?
yards,
Oh God.
and Joe Banyard carrying the ball 4 times for 2 yards. That's just, ugh. And the fact that one of Jerick McKinnon's runs was 5 yards long means that the other 4 were -2. That is not good, folks.
It's the old.
Not good. What I saw in this game was Jerick McKinnon dancing way too much behind the line of scrimmage, trying to find a hole instead of moving forward the way that he had the way that he found success last year.
like I said on Twitter, be thankful that Adrian Peterson is our starter.
We know McKinnon and Asiata can get it done, but we don't want them to. To be honest.
Let's lean on Adrian. I'm fine with that, aren't you guys? Yeah.
So the Vikings' leading receiver, Adam Thielen, sorry.
We're never gonna break that habit, guys.
2 catches on 2 targets, 54 yards and a touchdown. I don't see any way they can leave this kid off the roster. I just don't. Too talented, can do too much. Big contributor on special teams.
It's about keeping your best 53. There's no way that
he'll be there.
Yeah, there's no way that you can cut him.
And that's just his receiving ability. He does good things on special teams too, but he's definitely not out of the 6 wide receivers, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon enough when we do our 53 projection. He's not the bottom of the 6 in my opinion, so he's got a spot on this team.
He's earned it.
Yep, Jarius Wright, 2 catches, 2 targets, 50 yards. Cordero Patterson caught all the passes his way, 29 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, go ahead.
His touchdown, that was a big boy route that he ran out there on the field. That was not little Cordero dink and dunk, 3 yards, turn it into punt return, make people miss. That was Cordero, go run a route, go juke a guy out, get some separation, and then go up and make a catch. And he
with a nice throw from Sean Hill.
Yes. With Sean Hill. Thanks, Adam. But that's exactly what we want to see from Cordero. Now, do that a bunch more.
Yeah, do that without smacking your head against somebody.
Yeah, don't do the boneheaded penalty.
That's not good. Stephon Diggs, 2 catches on 5 targets. Some of those targets were not very catchable targets, so you can't hold a lot of that against him. Like I said, 26 yards. A pretty solid game from Diggs. Kyle Rudolph, 2 catches, 24 yards. Ryan Whalen, 2 catches, 22 yards. Ryan Whalen.
Hey.
Google.
Isaac Frickty, 2 catches, 16 yards. Mm-hmm. Everybody getting in on the act.
North Turner spreading that ball out.
Yeah, get it done. But we did have the 3 fumbles, of course, that we mentioned, and we can't beat this into the ground enough. Fumbles, not acceptable. The fact that the Vikings could turn the ball over 3 times with fumbles and just still control the game the way they did shows how much trouble Tampa Bay is really in.
Shout out to
there's
Jared.
There's a reason they had the worst record.
I wanted to say it earlier, but you guys were in the middle and it wouldn't interrupt. If you get any chance to go on NFL Network and watch the game again, they have a close up of Jarek. I think it's obviously wasn't Zach Line. I don't think it was his. I think it was either DeJuan Harris or Joe Banyard's fumble right at the goal line. But you see, everybody thinks he got in, and then you see Jarek's face like right behind Mike Zimmer, and his face goes from the biggest happy to the lowest low. But that was the worst, because you think we won by 10 points, and that's just another thing that makes me feel better, even though I think Tampa Bay might be at the top spot again next year. We could have won this game by 17 points. That was
on to defense. We had Audie Cole wired for sound for this game, and the one clip we got from him, they're like, "Here's Audie Cole, he's wired for sound." And all we hear is like a little bit of heavy breathing, and then he hits someone and gets up and runs away and said nothing.
Well, Audie Cole is not a big talker, so I really don't know why they wired him for sound.
No, it makes no sense. Wire up Everson Griffin, he talks.
Oh,
Everybody
Jesus.
wants to hear Everson.
I cannot wait for regular season when they do that, because Everson, you're really starting to see his personality shine through now that he's a starter, and he's so much fun. So much fun.
So much fun. On the defense side of the ball, Kendricks and Harris tied for the most number of tackles with 6 apiece. Kendricks led the team in tackles for loss with 2. We saw sacks from Kendricks, Hodges, and Everson Griffin. Mm-hmm. So it's not that the Vikings weren't getting pressure. They were definitely there. We finally saw some good run stuffing in the middle after a little bit of struggling initially. That's one problem that I saw during the Hall of Fame game, is that they were giving up too many yards up the middle. And I'm sure that is something that is being stressed by Mike Zimmer, because that's the way he rolls.
Mm-hmm.
We had an interception.
Antone Exum.
AE.
Now, I gotta admit, I was not very impressed with his play outside that interception that was thrown right to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do gotta give him props for catching the ball, I guess.
More than Chris Cook would have done. Yeah, I
don't
went
think
there.
Chris Cook has ever had that opportunity with the ball thrown right into his chest.
You know why? He was never in position.
All right, I'll give you that one. But it's good to see Linval Joseph in there doing his thing. Danielle Hunter, 3 tackles. One of them was a hit on a quarterback. Pretty good stuff there. Pro Football Focus was talking about Justin Tratto as being one of the hidden stars on this team. And I think that as a depth for a defensive end, it's absolutely awesome to have him on the team to do his thing. Overall, the game got sloppy when the second half rolled around, and we saw a lot of just bad football. A lot of yards given up. We saw 2-minute drills, especially the one that saw Jameis Winston running his touchdown. That was sloppy. That was bad. But again, this is the preseason. This is the time when stuff like this should happen so they can learn about it and grow.
Lots of young guys on the field then who haven't got
Yeah.
a lot of reps in training camp. So you expect it to be sloppy and the quality to dip because that is... They want to get these guys out there and see what they can do.
So true. But let's talk about Joe Berger's tackle. That was sweet. Do it, Joe Berger. Yeah. Running back coughs up the ball. Here comes big old Michigan Tech University lineman Joe Berger. Bam! Down you go.
Hey, maybe he can play both ways for us if we need him to.
You never know.
Offense, defense, put him on special teams. I give a shout out. Everyone been really hard on him previously, but the veteran Chad Greenway had a really superb tackle when he was out there, and I always been a huge Greenway supporter and love seeing that from him. He will benefit as well, like I said in the past, of having an enhancement of talent around him. And Chad's a smart guy. He knows that he, at this stage in his career, probably doesn't need to be out there every single down. He'll benefit from being a part of a rotation, coming off the field, getting fresh and coming out and being able to make some plays like that.
You just had the nicest way of saying that the Minnesota Vikings linebackers used to be absolutely terrible.
Well, is that,
Which,
I mean...
I gotta give you credit because it's true.
I mean, I love me some Jasper Brinkley. Jasper Brinkley was...
Brinkley, Aaron Henderson.
Yeah, great guys.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron DUI.
Hey,
Be a little
even
smarter.
Good people make mistakes.
Exactly. But, I mean, Jasper Brinkley, you couldn't ask for a nicer dude. But, you know, it's about having the best 53.
Right.
You know what
Young,
the best part
athletic.
was about that Chad Greenway tackle? Like I said earlier, I watched it on NFL Network. So for whatever reason, this has never happened anywhere I'm at because I'm not in Minnesota. But I got to hear Paul Allen call the game, and he gave him the biggest shout out in the world. It was amazing. So that was pretty sweet too.
You
I know
had to
exactly
hear that horrible Melton joke.
Yes, I did.
I hated that so bad. And then when he was trying to alliterate too much time for Teddy and all this other stuff, it's like, oh my goodness, stop it. Just stop.
That's why I love Paul Allen. I love how cheesy Paul Allen is. Did you hear what he said? He said, hooked on a Thielen.
He did.
He said that, and I'm like, he must listen to this show, because we named a
Either that or we have the same terrible comedic stylings, one of the two.
Yeah, or apparently everyone says that, because that was in one of the Vikings groups that I post in.
Nice.
About that not being an original comment. So, who knows? Maybe we're not as creative as we think we are.
That'll be $5, Paul Allen. Just letting you know. We'll take that in our GoFundMe. Appreciate it.
I nearly gave my game ball to Jeff Locke.
Ooh.
It was really close.
He looked good.
He had a fantastic game. 5 punts, 4 of them landing inside the 20, averaging 39 yards a punt. But Paul Allen, sorry, 49 yards. I don't know if I'd qualify that as a boomer.
Hey, for Jeff Locke standards, that was a boomer.
But he showed nice control over the ball, gave the Vikings good field position. The snaps to him were pretty solid, and we saw a good mixture of McDermott and Leffler that game. Blair Walsh connected on all his kicks, 2 for 2 on field goals, 2 for 2 on extra points. This is the kind of stuff you want to see from your special teams out there.
Mm-hmm.
I love when things are solid because you don't got to go into them in depth.
Yeah.
So good. So good. Next week, the Oakland Raiders come to town.
The most important preseason game this year. No, I'm not kidding. You guys think I'm joking. We're playing them, was it week 10? And watch out for the Oakland Raiders. I saw a meme this week, and it was actually cool, and I couldn't believe I said that about a Raiders meme. But it's the AC/DC, and it was black and silver. Amari Cooper, Derek Carr. Watch out for that. Khalil Mack is a monster. They have Michael Crabtree. I don't think they're going to be at the bottom of the tank anymore. I think Washington and Tampa and Chicago are going to give them a run for their money. But watch out for the Oakland Raiders.
No, I got to give Oakland some credit as well, too. They're really, I think, doing a good job on putting together a young team and not being bottom feeders. I like Jack Del Rio as a head coach. I'm a fan of his. Not sold, obviously, on Bill Musgrave doing play calling for them.
Not at all.
Podcast listeners will know why.
Right.
But, you never know. Maybe it'll work out for old Musgrave's play card this time around.
Yeah, some solid drafts by the Oakland Raiders really have them in a position where the Vikings were a couple of years ago. They were struggling. They had, a 3-win season?
Mm-hmm.
And Oakland is at that point now where they have that talent. They're trying to make the turn. The problem is developing that young talent into a team that they can win with. And I think that they've got some guys that can really get that done. I do believe in Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree,
think he can
too.
go out
He's
there
a
and
good
get
young
it done.
quarterback.
I am excited to see what Amari Cooper can do.
Mm-hmm.
The first preseason game for the Raiders, Carr and Cooper just absolutely lit it up. And you guys know how I feel about that defense. They've got young players all over the place that can do their job.
It's going to be a good test. I can't wait to see
fun.
it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that week 3 is the real test for NFL teams during the preseason because that's like what's the term for before a play opens and
tune-up, dress rehearsal.
Dress rehearsal. There you go. Yeah, that's like the dress rehearsal for the game for the regular season. But I'm glad that one's against Dallas because that should be fun to watch. But that's the week after this. We're looking at the Raiders now, and the Raiders will be fun to watch.
You know, just
So much
thinking,
young talent.
just speaking, like just as a football fan in general, the Oakland Raiders, I think, are one of those teams that when they're doing well, overall, the NFL is more fun to watch when the Raiders are doing well, I think. Maybe that's just me, it's just my opinion, but they're a team that, yeah, I like when the Raiders do well. Good history behind him. I was always Al Davis fan. I like the way he just spoke his mind. Even when he was old and senile at the very end, he still spoke his mind, and it was awesome.
Now, there will be one former Viking that you're going to want to watch in this game. Jamarcus
Yes.
Webb on the offensive line. Oh, I gave you the swerve there. What do you think, Mr. Smith?
You know what? That's all right, because I got a bold statement coming up, and everyone's going to love me for it.
And I'm sure at this point you've all seen the picture of Trent Richardson running away from the big hole.
Holy crap.
It's been everywhere online.
It's not the first time either. That poor guy can't catch a break, and he just does it to himself.
But there are other guys to watch for in this game. Michael Crabtree's a Raider, if you forgot about that. Because I'm thinking a lot of people did, because that was a really under-the-radar move to bring him in.
It was.
Because their wide receiver core last year was horrible. Best guy they had was James Jones, and let's be honest, James Jones looks good when Aaron Rodgers is throwing to him. That's a bonus.
As do most receivers.
Yeah.
They could call Hank Baskett out of retirement.
Well, good. I'm sure you could use some cash.
Yeah.
That's all I have for the Oakland Raiders game. We asked you guys on social media We asked you who should be the next Viking to have their jersey number retired. We had a lot of people say Jim Marshall, who already has had his number retired. And that's okay. Show him some love. I'm all right with that. But overall, it seemed like the answer that most people were saying is Randy Moss. Corbin Johnson says, I think number 84 should be retired because of Randy Moss. He was one of the best receivers of all time. I would even put him up with Jerry Rice. He was the complete package. Everything you want from a wide receiver. Really interesting statement there. Mm-hmm. Corbin Johnson also said, number 7, Christian Ponder, one of the best quarterbacks ever to play the game. He is GOAT, and if you're not familiar with LL Cool J's acronym there, that means greatest of all time.
Yeah, between the combination...
Be a Hall of Famer. Can't wait to see him in the gold jacket.
The number 7 combination of Tavares Jackson and Christian Ponder is one for the record books. It should be retired.
Hey, T-Jack has a ring, though. You got to give him credit.
True.
Yeah.
And Dan Knudsen says, number 4, just stick it to the Packer backers. And I had one gentleman on here that completely said what I was going to say for my answer on this. So I'm just going to read his. Daniel Whitford says, still don't think that any more numbers should be permanently retired. Far too many players on each team, especially since there are actual rules about what numbers you can wear for positions. Keep putting guys in the Ring of Honor or make a special Hall of Fame section of the stadium for honoring the greats. I agree. I don't think that at this point there's a number that I would say absolutely needs to be retired.
I would like to see 84 retired, but at the same time, it is cool.
Janksy Cat.
Yeah, from Molasses Mike and all the contributions that he had to the team. No, seriously though, it is cool when you have a guy like Cordero Patterson who wears 84. Like, that's cool, and it's cool that you can look at the history of the number and say, hey, that was Moss's number and now it's Patterson's number, or Trey Waynes is wearing Antoine Winfield's old number. Adrian 28 used to be what? Ahmad Rashad?
Oh yeah, lots of great players.
Back in the day for the Vikings. So there's been a history lesson for you. So it's cool to track kind of the lineage of who are the other guys who have won numbers. And I do agree with you, Adam. You got to do something really super, super special to get your number retired by a team.
I think it has to do with how long you're with the team too.
I mean, let's say Adrian has an MVP caliber season again, and we end up going to a Super Bowl, and we can win it, and Adrian becomes the Super Bowl MVP, and he has a nice big long career for the Vikings. I think then you can make a case for retiring 28, but that's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts that would have to happen.
I think Adrian's still too far away to even be discussing that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot can happen till that point, and like you said, all the situations that came up. But how about you, Mr. Smith? You got any that you think should go in?
Nope, I agree with you. If I had to absolutely, put a gun to my head, I'd pick Randy Moss. But right now, no. There's not been anyone, like you guys said, that have played long enough and produced enough. But if I had to, it would be Randy Moss. Depends on what Adrian does in the next couple of years. He is going to be the franchise leader, and I don't know that anybody's going to pass him on that. But maybe Adrian later on, especially if he cracks in like the top 5, rushing yards of all time, which I think he's going to do. So I wouldn't change anything right this moment, though. No.
And the only other variant answer we had was Dave Hickey saying Scott Studwell.
Yeah,
that's a nice answer.
And Scott Studwell not only had a long career as a Viking, but an incredibly long time working for the front office.
It's true.
Being the director of college scouting or something like that.
Yeah. Good stuff all around.
But even then, like you said, Adam, there are so many people that you can look at and go, oh, well, he had a nice career with this or that and the other thing, but at the end of the day, you only got so many numbers that you can choose from.
Right, like I would love to see Kevin Williams go in.
Oh, me too. But that's what the Ring of Honor is for, right?
Yep,
Like
that is why that is there.
Stick him in the Ring of Honor and get a banner for him whatever. Like that. Let's get Randy Moss in the Vikings Ring of Honor.
Next week's social media question. I'm going to kind of play off the Phil Loadholt injury. Which Vikings player would be the biggest loss for the team if he were injured for the rest of the 2015 season? I'm going to go doom and gloom on you guys here, so I want to hear which guy, if he goes injured, you're like, whoop, there goes the season.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm going to tell you straight up, we lost Adrian last year, and I couldn't believe what Jarek McKinnon and Matt Asiata did. God forbid we have to go 2 seasons without him. My head would probably explode. But if we have to depend on Sean Hill to go the whole season, hey, I gave him all the love in the world. There are worse backups and worse quarterbacks out there. But Teddy has way too much upside. I'd cry myself to sleep one night. It would happen. Grown man would cry himself to sleep.
I've got to admit, I have never seen so many people hop on a Jersey bandwagon as fast as I have seen Vikings fans buying Teddy Bridgewater jerseys. I figured I would be in the minority after only 1 season owning a Teddy Bridgewater jersey. These things are everywhere.
People love Teddy. He's so easy to like. That's what's on top of everything else. That's what's so cool about him. Is you want to love Teddy.
If you did it, you're not in the wrong. It's a smart choice.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all agree we have that inkling about him.
It's that sense. It's that sense where you just watch him and you're like, yeah. and you don't get that feeling from a lot of players. You don't get to watch someone and go, uh-huh, that's it.
We've suffered for so long. So very long. And Teddy Bridgewater is the first time in forever that we have a quarterback that's ours. Like, he didn't come from somewhere else. He's not a end of his career. He's ours. No. He belongs to us in purple.
We haven't had a feeling like this really since Dante Culpepper.
Yeah. That's so true.
I joke about all that with my friends, too. The two things, actually, I give a shout out to one other person. One of my dad's friend's daughter. She's an up-and-comer. She loves to run her mouth a lot. But Miss Celia, you'll never listen to this either. But she sent me the photo the other day. It's like the Browns jersey. You know the guy, you buy one guy.
Yeah.
And you just go down the list and have the names. It's been forever. And I used to tell all my friends, especially after Favre came, I was like, Minnesota's where the quarterbacks go to die. Whatever. No, we don't have that feeling anymore. We don't have to worry about that. So it's really encouraging.
Well, not according to Kyle West. It's still a graveyard with Sean Hill there, I guess.
A little bit. We do have an odd history of just quarterbacks at the end of their career coming to Minnesota. I mean, who remembers Jim McMahon being a Minnesota Viking? That happened. Yeah.
It did. Let's finish up with Kyle Smith's bold statement, and that's all I've got for this week.
Okay, there are 2 things for this week's bold statement. I don't really know which way to go with it, so I'll go ahead and say it. Christian Ponder is going to make his first appearance against the Vikings in a different jersey since we drafted him. He's going to get intercepted this week. Prepare for it, mark my words, and you can buy me dinner later when I'm right. Thank you. Good night. No, the other point.
Go a little further. Who's going to get the pick?
Well, I'm trying to think who could do it in the secondary. I would love to. Let me segue right now. Holy crap. Having a Miyagi moment on here.
You're blarting all over the place.
I am blarting everywhere.
You should get that cleaned up. That is disgusting.
You know what? This is a great segue into my Twitter rant earlier on the Purple People podcast page. For everybody that keeps just giving up on Trey Waynes after 2 preseason games, you know what? I'll give it to Trey Waynes. I'll give it to the rookie. He's going to get extended playing time. He's going to pick off Christian Ponder. Yeah. And I want everybody to put your foot in your mouth. Leave Trey Waynes alone. Xavier Rhodes was very raw his first year in. Look what happened after 1 season with Mike Zimmer. Let Mike Zimmer do his job so Trey can do his job. Stop with all the negativity. We haven't even played a real game yet. This is perfect for him. But, yes, Ponder, interception, Trey Waynes. What's up? What do you guys think?
I think you could very well be right.
I think it'll be Eric Kendricks.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Sean Prater.
Ooh. I like the way all of us are not like, oh no, he's not going to throw an interception. It's like, oh, he's
If it does happen, it's going to be Sean Prater.
There's no if, it's when. When Ponder throws an interception, this is going to be.
And you know what? I don't feel bad about it anymore because he's not on our team. I supported the guy for the most part while he was with us. But welcome back, Christian. We love you, man.
All right, I said that was all I had for this week, but I lied. I got one more thing going on here. Head on over to Yahoo Survival Football. When you're there, put in the group ID 1281 with the password SKOL, all capital letters, SKOL, and that's where you can enter to play our survival league where the winner will get a Minnesota Vikings jersey of their choice. Seriously, we're giving one away.
Do it, guys. It's going to be fun.
So come play the game with us. Let's have some fun. Let's get a winner. Let's do this. It's our way of thanking people for contributing to our GoFundMe to be able to keep this show up on the Podomatics, up on the iTunes and on the Stitchers and all that weird funky stuff.
On the interweb.
Yeah. So you can listen to us anywhere, anytime. That's what it's for. And this is our way of thanking you. So go on. Get in the group. Win yourself a jersey if you can. And you know what? I'm going to play too. And good luck trying to beat me, guys. I can't talk Mr. Kyle West into playing, though. I'm trying.
Nope. Don't play.
And I'll give you guys one more. Guess who I'm picking to win in week 1? The Green Bay Packers. So take that.
Who do they play? Probably a safe bet.
On that note, that's all I have this week. Do you guys got anything else you want to add?
Nope, I'm good.
Remember to spay and neuter Packers fans.
Oh, no. Well, I guess after that it's hard to stay classy, but stay classy, Minnesota.